Maine lawmakers are looking at a possible amendment to the state constitution to make it a right for every person to have a clean, healthy environment.
But what exactly does that mean? News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry explains.
Including clean air and clean water.
Representative Maggie O'Neill is proposing a bill that would protect Mainers' right to a clean environment. She argues if we had this constitutional amendment, Maine people could file lawsuits to stop pollution instead of waiting for the legislature to pass laws to clean it up. For example, PFAS.
Our government used to permit spreading sludge that had PFAS, and that contaminated soil. There was a point in time where we started to realize that it was toxic, and the legislature was taking time to act.
But members of the Environment and Natural Resource Committee have questions.
My concern would be that this would be an oversight of the DEP.
The second sentence.
Anthony Maffa is an environmental law professor at UMaine Law. He says other states have taken up this amendment and not had any issues.
Because much of the discussion around these amendments tends to descend into, well, can I sue my neighbor based on this amendment? And the way that this current version is structured, I read it to be as against the government, not necessarily as Mainers against Mainers.
Because this proposal is a constitutional amendment, it needs a lot of support, and it has a long way to go. Even if it survives a committee vote, it then needs 2/3 support in both chambers of the legislature. And still, Maine voters would get the final say. There was about 3 hours of testimony at the public hearing on this bill on Wednesday, including testimony from younger voters.
We don't have anything without a clean environment. We wouldn't have the chance to have these public hearings. We don't have politics. We don't have an economy.
That amendment is now before you again.
But not everyone is convinced this is a good idea. The Maine Department of Environmental Protection testified neither for nor against this bill.
In 2021, a similar resolution with much more detail was introduced as LD 489 and opposed by the department.
The DEP says it's neutral on this bill because as it's written, it doesn't modify any state statute. Others who testified on Wednesday say this amendment is really not needed in Maine.
We support our environment. We want to protect our environment. The regulatory agencies and the structure that we currently have in place, we feel is sufficient.
Ben Lucas from the Maine Chamber of Commerce says the current zoning and other regulations are already doing the job to keep Maine clean and healthy. Jackie Mundry, News Center, Maine.
Again, this bill still has to go through the full legislative process. The next step is a work session where a lot of these questions will likely be answered.